Hi everyone, how are you all doing? I am Peta-Gaye Sterling. I am the co-founder and CEO of Peta-Gaye Sterling Marketing, and today with me, I'm kicking off a new series on my page, and that is Business Mom Spotlight. And today I have the beautiful Chaya with me. And so Chaya, I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself, tell everybody, let everybody get to know you. This is a phenomenal mom in business, and she's making it look so easy. I am so proud of you, Chaya. Go ahead, take the floor, darling.
Okay, I will try to be quick. I could talk all day. So I'm from Northern Alberta, but I wanted to live more an adventurous life, more time with my kids. And so we actually moved to Vancouver Island. And so now our typical routine is spending most of our time outside. Like I just took my oldest and baby here on a hike to Mount Douglas, like the mountaintop, and it was phenomenal, like perfect view and everything. So I have four kids under five. My oldest is five, and then I have a 3-year-old, 1.5-year-old, and almost 2-month-old. And yeah, I started the business probably like 3 years ago. I had my anniversary. Yeah, so 3 years ago. Yeah, that's a little bit about me. Oh, and I'm quite young. I am going to be 24 in May.
Wow. Chaya, it is amazing to see how you have just embraced motherhood and business, and you have basically married the two, and you're making it work for you, which is, I mean, it is phenomenal. Because I've heard people say, "Oh, I got kids. I can't do it because I got these kids." But you're making it work, and that is commendable. It really is, and it actually speaks to the how flexible this business is, because you're basically doing it on your own schedule. You're not missing on
Hmm.
precious milestones with your kids, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to say, for those of you that are catching us on replay, thank you so much for your tuning in. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, via instant message, or not instant message. This is not iPhone. This is basically by messenger here on Facebook or Instagram. Okay. So I'm gonna jump right into our questions, Shreya. So if I'm looking off to the screens, because I have it pulled up on my laptop here. So how do you manage your time effectively between running this digital business and taking care of your young children?
Definitely, I have learned, like most recently within the last year, to give myself some grace because it's so easy to have such high expectations, which is also important to have productivity and everything like that. But at the same time, I started the business to have more time with my kids. So I prioritize that. And literally 5 to 10 minutes is powerful. So if I'm driving, I'm listening to our powerful weekly masterminds. If I'm folding laundry, I'm catching up on training or talking to my accountability partner. If I'm cooking supper, it's actually during the live mastermind. So typically I put one headphone in and I get bits and pieces, and that way I know where I want to take notes next, like after watching the replays. Um, and truly, you do it with your kids. Like it's social media marketing. It's lifestyle attraction. So you talk about your life, and my kids have now learned like they're a part of my business. So they'll be like, "Hey mom, take a picture of my block tower. I want to show everyone. Hey mom, do this. Hey mom, do that." And they're kind of daredevils. So like if they're biking, they'll like make jumps and they're like, "Take a video. I want everyone to see." And I'm like, am I being a bad parent by letting them do dangerous things? But it's really just embracing side by side. So I homeschool my oldest, and when we sit down, depending on what we're doing, if he needs a lot of one-on-one, I'm fully there. Otherwise, I have my computer beside me and I work on something, 30 seconds, help with a question, 30 more seconds, help with a question. And like growing up, I was like, I had to focus to get things done. And then I just realized like, I'm passionate about my kids, their happiness. So that comes first. The business comes next, but the business gives me the ability to spend time towards my kids for the passion. So literally 5 to 10 minutes is key. I spend a little bit time after they go to bed, if they go to bed, and before the newborn and before this latest pregnancy, because it was so physically draining. I used to wake up at 5 a.m., but I haven't gone back into that yet. I've had a very hard pregnancy, labor, but babies are always good. This is the best part. So yeah, I think so fair warning, if I didn't answer the question, just say this was the question because my train of thought goes like this. During sports and everything, I've had concussions and everything, so it's like focus.
No. It is you answered it perfectly because having a routine with kids is imperative. You know, as a mom myself, I went through a similar thing where I had to develop a routine. I had to say, okay, this time is bedtime. This time is when you take a nap during the day. Like this
Yeah.
is the time you wake up. So when you're having to juggle both, you really make it work for you at the end of the day.
Well, and the thing is you have to understand that kids, they are their own people. Depending on how they slept or what they ate, they might have crazy amount of energy and you're not going to get a nap. You're going to have a late night. You're going to be up all night. Like my 1-year-old had the worst night ever last night, but it's just part of parenthood. So on those days, it's like, okay, what is going to move the pin forward? What can I do if I only have time to do one thing in my business? What is going to give me the most action, the most movement in my business? You pick that one big item on the hard days. And that one big item might take some time. It might not. You might have to break it into bits and pieces. And like, for instance, when I first started the business, I tried to do like block. And I think it works great for non-mops. It's where you spend an hour doing a task, whether you finish it or not, and then another hour doing a task, whether you finish it or not. I tried that. 45 minutes, I ended up nursing and dealing with fights, and I only had 15 minutes towards something. I'm like, nope, that's not working. So it's kind of like trial and error and give yourself grace. Grace is so important.
Yes, that is absolutely true. And then it also goes back to there's a level of automation, so it really helps you on those days when you can't physically be so.
Yeah, your business is working in the background. So really, that's so important because sometimes it's like, I just want to crawl into bed. I can't even shower. Like, it's just a long day. But yet my business never, like, it doesn't, like if you had a brick and mortar business and you can't show up, the doors are closed, there's no sales, there's nothing. That's not this. If you can't show up, as long as you set up the automation, it's happening in the background, which is really amazing,
Oh,
especially for moms.
I love that. Okay, so we're going to segue to question two. What inspired you to start your online business? I know you touched a little bit on it earlier, and how do you balance entrepreneurial, the responsibilities and as well as entrepreneurship, like responsibilities as a mom and entrepreneurship. How do you balance the two?
So, yeah, I kind of answered that. This
Yeah,
is what I used to do in high school. I used to read the first question, answer it, and then I'd go through the whole test and be like, "Oh, I answered all of that in question one."
yeah.
So
That's
why
what,
why I started? I had my son at 17. He was 2.5 months old when I graduated, and I had to go back to work when he was 6 months old. So I didn't really get to enjoy the milestones and like be there for the first. But on top of it, the job I went back to was the opposite shift of my spouse. And so we literally didn't see each other than me crawling into bed while he was sleeping and him crawling out of bed, giving me a kiss in the morning while I was sleeping. So it was like we weren't together and we weren't together with our son. Our son got a few hours with me in the morning and 1 or 2 hours with him in the evening, but it was never a family unit. And so that opposite shift was really, really hard. And then during that job, we wanted to have another baby. We wanted them really close in age. And so I got pregnant with my daughter, and it was such a stressful job. I really, really enjoyed trying to have an impact. I was a youth worker coordinator, program creator for troubled youth, and I absolutely love them. Like, I create a relationship. They're like my family, but it was such a high stressed atmosphere. And I truly believe it affected my pregnancy. And so when I had my daughter, like actually before I had her, I started looking online for ways to make money, ways to give myself the freedom and the ability to stay at home. I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. When you're in kindergarten, they're like, what do you want to be when you're older? And it's like astronaut, firefighter. Literally my answer throughout all of school was mom. I didn't know anything but to be a mom. Like, that's just my calling. And so it's kind of a blessing that I had Keiston young. But anyways, so yeah, I started looking, and everything I found, it was like you still had a boss. Like, oh, you can make your own schedule, but you have to have 20 hours. Or, oh, you can make your own schedule, but you have to show up for these meetings no matter what. And that's not what I wanted. So it was probably 4 months after having her that I found this opportunity. And I was kind of skeptical because, like, it seemed too good to be true. No boss, your own hours, a business online, no selling, no tracking down friends and family. And at this point, I already tried like the parties and things like that, and they weren't working. And if I did make money, it wasn't anything. And so I was like, how should I live? Should I decide to struggle and miss out on my kid's life? And by the time I have time, I'm too old to actually enjoy my life? Like, no. So I'm like, take a leap of faith. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if it does, what if it does? And that was my thing. So I jumped into it, and I've been a stay-at-home mom since. And we have traveled, we have adventured, like, it's really changed my identity, and it's made me who I am. I don't think I would have found myself if I did anything else. And so that's my big why. It's being able to spend time with my kids and give them the opportunities that I maybe didn't have growing up, or I did have but couldn't continue, like with sports and things like that. And so now my son is in hockey. He just did a basketball camp. My daughter's too young to do anything, but she won't leave me alone every day. She's like, I want to do this, I want to do that. And so we just go to parks and do it as a family. But then, like, the balance and the responsibility between the two, because of my why, because of my kids, it makes it easy to give the discipline and attention to my business. Because if I don't have the business, if I don't have the success, then I can't have this lifestyle. So really, it's just remembering why you started. Like, I would show you, but I don't want to turn my phone around. I have a huge vision board, and it's things that I'm working towards, but it's also things that I already have to remember why. So we have like our Mexico trip, we have our hikes, and it's just pictures of me and my kids. And yeah, so I think remembering your why makes it easy to fit the business in.
Absolutely. Kids are an absolute blessing. And the beauty about it. I was a teen mom, but I did not have it as easy being a teen mom as it is now.
Mm.
Because certain resources were not there. And having a business like this as a teen mom, it puts you in a different playing field. Like, you answer to nobody but, I mean, your kids are your boss at this point, but you
But you
answer
like
to
those
nobody.
bosses some days.
Yes, right? And then you're not missing out on those milestones. You're not having to sacrifice, missing on those moments that you bond over, which, but it can be a little bit disheartening at times. And when you have
Hmm.
certain sacrifices and then you end up struggling. But because you started this business, you will not have to face those struggles.
Yeah.
Harvey, you're throwing a tantrum today, and I don't know if I want to deal with this today, but it will not be the typical, like most people. So I would encourage any moms out there that is going through a similar situation, check this business out. You might just be
Well, and it's the community too. So do you want your bottle? The other one's starting to boss me around. There's my boss.
that's okay.
I think also, like, when I got pregnant, I had quite a bit of support. I absolutely, like, everyone supported me for the most part, but I had a couple people that literally said, like, so when's your appointment? You're going to go get an abortion, right? And I'm like, I support other people's choice to do that if that's what they feel like. But for me, I could never do that, like, personally. And
No.
I said, it was definitely not heartbreaking, but like, it was a big surprise. I had my tears the first day I found out, but then the next day, like, Desmond, my spouse, was like planning our future, like, oh, we're going to do this and this, and I hope it's this, and blah, blah, blah. And we just went with it, and we absolutely loved it. But, where is it going with this? See my train of thought. But yeah, so I ended up having postpartum depression with every kid. I'm hoping to skip it with this one.
Yeah.
But the community, like with Keaston, my oldest, I didn't know who to talk to because I didn't want to be a burden, and I internalized everything. And then with Mason, it was quite similar. I remember one day just like packing a diaper bag, leaving the house, not answering my phone, not talking to anyone, just like escaping reality.
Yeah.
And just shortly after is when I actually found the business, but I didn't know how to deal with myself. And then when I found the business, I found a community of moms that uplifted me and understood my struggle. And they my depression didn't disappear, but they helped me work through it. Like I definitely like with my third, I had it because I had a lot of things going on in my life, but my support system was the community. I always came back and talked with everyone, and they just encouraged me and loved me and supported me. And that's something as a teen mom you don't typically get, especially where I live. The youngest mom I've met is 32 with a 2-year-old. So I'm kind of like outcasted. However, growing up, there's lots of teen moms for the most part. I was the only one in my grade, but um, yeah, you kind of get viewed differently.
Yeah.
And so when you come into the business, like no matter who you are, no matter who you talk to, your family. And so that was a big part. So if you're a mom who needs to find your tribe, this is it. Like it's not very hard once you get in, and you see proof once you get into our group.
It is. The support is unreal.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a positive environment to be in. Um, so Chaya, can you share, some strategies that you've used to overcome challenges and obstacles while building and managing your business?
Yeah, for sure. So other than our community or training site, like for the regular how to work your business, a lot of mindset stuff, YouTube,
Yeah.
YouTube and podcasts. I start my morning with either affirmations, like I put affirmations on while I'm in the shower. It's multitasking. You're a mom. If you actually do things one at a time, you'll never get anything done. So while I shower, I listen to affirmations or like motivation, but I'm very like the athlete in me needs like hard love. So it's like intense, like get your ass up and go do it. And I'm like, yeah. So I have a couple different ones I like to listen to, but I have this um one thing that I subscribe to on YouTube, and it's all about motivation, and it literally puts me in the mood and I feel unstoppable. And then the other thing is so like mindset's a big thing. Journaling, I try to journal and write down my gratitudes and also what I want for the day. Like and I write it in present tense, like kind of like manifesting, right? So like for instance, if I am working on a post or working on an ad or whatever, I literally write down what I want the outcome to be and I'm grateful for the outcome. So like journaling is a big one. And nature. Nature is my hero. So if I am in the house all day and sometimes I like get lost in like the chores of motherhood, like the folding the laundry, the cleaning up after kids, the meals and all that. Sometimes I forget to actually get out of the house. And that's when I know my mood is so low. And when you have a low mood, you can't do anything with the business, right?
That's
And
true.
so taking the time to do an outside outing with my kids. We have the backyard, which is one thing, but like 6 houses down is the edge of I don't think, oh, it is considered mountain. Mountains on Vancouver Island are like giant hills. They're hardly mountains. But anyways, it's all green and forest. And so we actually do a lot of our like learning, our homeschool learning out there, and we start our morning off or in the evening. We haven't done as much since he's been born because it's been really cold and I bundle him up pretty good, but it's an added thing.
Yeah.
However, it's so important to know what works for you to boost your mood and tell yourself to do it anyways. The hardest thing is just doing it. Getting out the door is the hardest thing. And then once you're out the door, it's like, oh my God, I'm so grateful. And then you come back home and it's like, all right, I could do anything. And that's when I give my business the attention. So like that has really helped when it comes to mood, because I really think if you're not in the right mood, you can't do anything. And so just understanding what boosts you and applying that every day. And then also living in the moment. So sometimes it's so difficult. What are you doing? You are having a hard time and everything else here, baby. And so you just have to remember, like, when's the next time you get to do this? When's
Yes.
the next time you get to deal? Like, maybe this is your kid's last tantrum. That would be nice, but it's like, just enjoy it while you have it. And so living in the moment, boosting your mood. And then lastly, like, doing something for yourself every once in a while. Here, babe. Do you want that?
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Oh,
I
guys.
probably could say a lot more. I think just understanding, and celebrating your wins. That's a big one. I literally have a sheet where I write down all my wins, no matter how big or small. So when I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm not going anywhere, like if I'm having a bad day or something, I look at my wins and it's like, holy cow, look at how much I've grown. Look at how much I've done. I would have never done that if I didn't start the business. And it could be personal, it could be business, it could be family related. I feel like everything is like combined, like it's all wrapped together. Are you gonna take that?
Awesome.
What's up, babe?
We're having a moment.
We're having a visitor. Watch your toes. You want to come sit on my lap? There we go.
Ooh, hi, sweetheart.
Can you say hi? So I got my bottle and I got my cheese.
Mommy's assistant today. You'll be her co-host or my
Yeah.
co-host?
Are
Yeah.
you the co-host? She says
Yeah.
co.
Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up real quickly for you because I know you gotta go, and I really appreciate the time that you've taken out to do
Of
this.
course.
But what advice would you give to like a young mother aspire to start their own online business, but they're raising kids and they're a little bit intimidated by the whole idea? What advice
Okay.
would you give to them?
So my advice is if you have an additional income, whether it's your spouse or something like that, where you can stay at home with the kids, the business isn't going to take time away from them. Like right now, like she was hanging out because she was happy, but now she's sitting on my lap. And if I need to hang up, I will. So if you're worried that it's going to take time away from your kids, you figure out your schedule. So that's not an issue. If you're a working mom and you're thinking, oh, I'm a working mom, I come home and then I have all the mom chores to do. I have to cook the supper, get kids' lunches ready for school. I have to do this. You're going to have to do that no matter what. And why would you, if you don't enjoy it, why would you continue when you can find a business that might get you out of that? So my advice is take a leap of faith and just do it because you can keep living the life you're living, whether you're comfortable or uncomfortable, if you're like, okay, happy, but why would you want to live like that when you could have so much more? So honestly, just do it. We have different startup options for everyone. When I started, I really don't know how I started because I had no savings account. I already started having debt, and literally my spouse is a spender. He has no idea how to do anything with money. And being on maternity leave, I had to rely on his income. My maternity leave was so little, but yet with maternity leave, I was still able to start this business because there's different startup options for everyone. So
Mhm.
if you think you financially can't do it, if you think you don't have time for it, all the things, all the excuses, that's the only thing, that's literally the only thing standing in your way is the fact that you're choosing it to be an excuse. There is no excuses when you want it bad enough. When you
That's
want to
true.
change your life, you will find a way. And this is the road to that. You are the vehicle. You press start by just starting.
Absolutely.
Mm.
It's so funny you should say that because I remember for a whole year I learned about this business, but I was so scared,
Really?
terrified. I had no confidence. I doubted myself, and I found everything like, yeah, no, I could never do that. But I watched my mentor, now coach as well. I watched her journey for an entire year, and that's when I realized I go, no, there's something here. But it
If it
took my
wasn't real, she would have quit, right?
she would have quit. She would have walked away a long time ago. But it wasn't. I wasn't worried now about the fact whether or not it was real, whether or not it was legitimate, because I knew that it was. I was I was standing in my own way, and it took
Mm-hmm.
boss literally giving me an ultimatum for me to say, you know what? Yeah, your back is against the wall. You have nowhere to go. You're gonna have to do this, and I did it, and I did it scared. I was
Mm-hmm.
terrified, but I did it anyhow.
She's the dinosaur. Sorry. Um, I totally get what you're saying because isn't it sad that we have to wait for to hit the bottom for the worst case scenario to actually create change?
It is.
Like if you're comfortable right now, great. But why stay comfortable or why wait for something bad to happen? Just join. And if you are at the bottom, then there's nowhere else to go but up. So just do it.
That's true. That is
I'm
absolutely.
I'm proud of you for taking the leap. It may
Oh,
have
I
took
did.
long, but imagine if you didn't.
You know what? Sometimes God have to put us in a situation for us to understand exactly where He wants us to go, and
Yeah.
He makes. I remember I was watching. video, and I think it was on one of our masterminds where it was talking about eagles and how
Mm.
eagles raise their youngs, and how when they want them to fly, if they keep feeding them, they will never leave the nest. So the mother had to go and start picking out the nest, making it uncomfortable so that they would learn how to fly, how to soar.
Mm.
So it was the same thing. I every time I think about it, I said God had to put me in that situation to make it very uncomfortable, right? So that I would go in the direction that He wants me to go. And maybe some of you are sitting there, you're in a similar situation and you want to move forward, but you're so afraid. And the only way to get over that fear is to actually face it. And once you face it, you realize, oh my goodness, I had nothing to fear to begin with, right? The woman sitting in front of you today did not exist when I started this business a couple years ago, right? Now I'm here and I'm interviewing another amazing mom, right? And one day this can be you as well. Um,
Mhm.
so to wrap this up, um, um, in what ways has being a mother influenced your approach to leadership and problem solving within your business?
Oh my God, in every way. Um, Having four kids, they're all very different, and you
Yeah,
all have to deal with like, they could have the same situation, but you have to deal with it differently. Like, my oldest, you have to be calm and hold his hand and hug him and say all the nice things. My 3-year-old, if you do not stand right in her face and say, "Look at me, this is what we're doing," then she's oblivious. She needs that little bit of hard love in the nicest way. And then this one, she's still figuring herself out.
yeah,
So, with that being said, like, dealing with, not even dealing, being with other people, you
mm-hmm.
get to know what works best for them and how to communicate with them. That my kids have opened my eyes of how to be a better communicator. Personally, I suck at communicating my own needs, but how to communicate better with others and
Yeah,
give them the support they individually need, because not one thing works for everyone. So understanding that and knowing that, it
yeah,
has an effect on people where they, oh, there's cheese in there, they want to navigate towards you. You attract them. You're like a magnet when you let people be in their own space and you respect their own way of being. And my kids have really taught me that. Plus patience. Like, I don't have any patience with them, I don't think. However, they have taught me to have a lot more patience with life, with people, with kids, like all of it. And so literally everything, it all comes back to how to be a good leader, how to help others, and really, like, as a mom, you are a servant in the best way. You put your kids first. You make sure they're fed before you're fed. You make sure they're bathed before you're bathed, especially when you have a baby. You always have puke on you, but yet he's always clean. And it's the same thing. You learn to put them first. You learn to have a little bit of self-care, and then with your people, the community, everything like that, you learn to see their needs, their why for starting. You learn about them,
mm-hmm.
and you, what's the word, you oh, my mom brain, I tell you, having four kids back to back and nursing, it's a lot.
Brain is still there.
It's so bad, so bad. You respect where they're coming from,
Yeah,
and you can hold value for them and still give, like, set boundaries. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. You learn to set boundaries when you have kids, and then you can do that with everyone else, which is so important as a leader, because you don't want to do everything for your people, because then they'll never grow. So
that's
just knowing what they need and being able to read the room, kind of thing.
absolutely. I agree with
Definitely.
100%. Now, guys, if you have enjoyed this session of Business Mom Spotlight with the beautiful Chaya, please feel free to comment, drop a heart, send some love her way. Um, Thank you so much, Chaya. I appreciate it. For those of you moms out there, or dads, or just individuals in general, if you are interested in starting your online business, you do not know where to start, and you're questioning whether or not this is for you, the only way you're going to know is if you take a closer look. So I'm inviting
Mhm.
you ahead to register, right? And get a little bit more information and see if this is the right fit for you. This business may not be for everybody, right? And I will tell you this much now: it is not a get rich quick scheme, right? This is a legitimate business. It takes time for you to nurture and grow it, but
Yeah.
the results are amazing. And if you're looking for something that you're able to pass on to your children at a later date, this is definitely the business that you want to start, right? As Chaya, a young mom, she's able to stay at home with her kids, not missing out on those precious milestones, not having to check them into daycare, right? So sitting in traffic,
Plus,
not sitting in a
plus affording daycare. I could not imagine 4 kids in daycare. Like, what job am I going to
it's
get that's going to pay for
crazy.
that?
The daycare prices are ridiculous. But so if you are that mom, you're ready to get started, take a closer look. This might just be the business that you are looking for, but you didn't know that you needed. Okay. So with that said, thank you guys. Let me just check the comments here. Chaya, let's see.
Oh.
And hi Valerie. Valerie said, yes, having such a routine with kids in this business is the best. You will have all the time while the business works in the background. Yep, absolutely. Hi, ladies. Hi, Tina. Hi, Roxanne. Hi, Sam. Right. So, with that said, Chaya, thank you so much for joining me. I know you are busy, right? I really appreciate you taking the time.
Well,
And
thank you for having us, all
oh,
of us. You're
yes,
missing
your
the louder
co-host.
ones. They're busy in the forest right now and in nature preschool, so
Oh,
you're lucky.
that is such an amazing thing, though. They're living life on. It's such and they're not in the city, so they're experiencing a different way of life, which is amazing.
We actually do live in the city.
But you're there in the
We
forest.
We live in the city, but Vancouver Island is so incredible when it comes to nature. We have
Wow.
so many nature places, and then like I drive them to the forest, the mountain, and our favorite thing is to go finding waterfalls. That's our thing. So we drive all over the place and then hike and go find waterfalls. Most
That is
dangerous thing you could do with kids because they all think the fish, but we really are living life on our own terms. And if I didn't have the business, I would be working right now and
that is
struggling to make ends meet as I always was before.
yeah.
And yeah, so like you said it all. The
Yeah.
only thing holding you back is yourself. Nothing's going to change unless you change it.
Absolutely. That is true. That is so true. But enjoy them. Enjoy motherhood. They grew up really quickly. Okay. Before you know it, they're grown kids, and it is hard having them so early, but at the same time, it's still a blessing. Okay.
It's a blessing. It really is because then you have more time with them and
Yeah.
I'd like to say more energy, but I don't know if that's too true.
You will get it back later on. You will
Can
get
you
it.
say bye?
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you
Have a
guys
good day,
so much for
everyone.
tuning in. And I'll see you guys on the next episode of This is Mom Spotlight.
Perfect. Thanks for having us.
Thank you guys.